What is up, guys? Welcome back to Liftaholics TV. Today we are going to be breaking down how to increase your pull-up numbers. Now, pull-ups are one of the most basic exercises in the gym next to push-ups and dips where you need a limited amount of equipment to perform. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced weightlifter, you've probably used pull-ups to try and increase the size and strength of your back. But if you're someone who's trying to get more pull-ups, get your first pull-up, or move on to more advanced versions of the pull-up, you're gonna need to use different methods to increase your strength. Stay tuned while we break it down. The first exercise that will help you increase your pull-up numbers is obviously pull-ups. So if you're someone who's able to perform just even a few pull-ups, keeping your pull-ups in your routine and focusing on the different pieces of the movement is gonna help you increase your size and strength and pull-up numbers over time. One way to do this is by holding yourself at the top for an extended period of time. You can do this by either pulling yourself up to the top, using your own strength, or placing a platform underneath you so you can get to the top and hold. If you're someone that can do a good amount of pull-ups already, somewhere between 8 to 10 reps, you should focus on the eccentric portion of the movement, meaning the part where you're just slowly moving down to the bottom. This piece of the movement is where you can really stretch out your back and create the most tension during the exercise, which in return will help you get more numbers over time. So over time, mastering the eccentric portion of the movement is only gonna help you and benefit you and allow you to increase the size of your back, your strength, and of course, get more pull-up numbers. Now, if you're someone who can't pull themselves up to the top of the bar and hold, whether you use a platform, whether you're pulling your own body weight up, whether you're using a band on your feet to try and push yourself up, there are a couple different alternative exercises that you can use that'll help you kind of get used to using those back muscles and pulling. And one of those alternatives is on the TRX. Now, the TRX is great because it allows you to use and get used to pulling from your back muscles to move your body weight up and down. So now while you're not in this motion, moving up and down this way, you might be at a slant or a tilt like this. It's still a great way to get your back muscles activated and get used to pulling up your body weight. So the biggest thing you need to remember when you're using the TRX row is your feet position. The more your feet is underneath the TRX and you sit back on your heels, the more difficult the rep is gonna be. Starting off, you wanna have your feet slightly in front of your body so you can determine where your body position should be at for the most effective reps. So remember, your feet position and your body position is gonna determine how effective your reps are based off your level of fitness. So if I'm someone who's been working out for a very long time, for example, like myself, if I use the TRX row, I'm gonna have to have my body really like parallel to the ground in order to feel these reps at all. So keep that in mind when you're doing the TRX row. But if you're someone who doesn't really feel the TRX like that, or you're not feeling like these reps are effective when you're using the TRX, you're probably someone who's been lifting weights for a number of years. And the TRX probably wouldn't be your best use of time to increase your pull-up numbers. If you're not feeling the TRX, it's probably because you can already do a few reps of pull-ups already. You should probably use the pull-up methods that I listed in the first point. Another alternative exercise that you can use your body weight to help you increase your pull-up numbers if you're someone who can't get a pull-up already is the inverted row. The setup for this exercise involves a little bit more work. You need a squat rack, a barbell, and safety arms. The position will be more difficult than the TRX, but you can modify the exercise so you can make sure that you're getting effective reps. Your body is gonna be almost parallel to the ground after you get a good setup. You simply pull your body up as high as you can on the bar using a good tempo coming down and also making sure you get a squeeze at the top. You cannot forget that part of the movement. If you're unable to pull yourself up, you can modify the position by putting your feet flat on the ground instead of having your heels on the ground, which obviously makes the rep a little bit more difficult. Now remember, the TRX and the inverted row are just body weight alternative exercises for people who can't do pull-ups yet. Those aren't for advanced weightlifters. Those aren't for people who can already get pull-ups. If you're someone who can get a pull-up, you really need to focus on the eccentric movement and the hold up top if you want to increase your numbers. But that's not just gonna do it alone. You're gonna need to throw in some weightlifting as well to increase the strength of your back. Just doing the pull-ups by themselves are gonna help you increase your numbers, but in order to really increase the size and strength of your back, you're gonna need to do exercises that involve weightlifting. Exercises like the lat pull-down. So the lat pull-down is really great for increasing your pull-up numbers because it is an exercise that almost mimics the pull-up exactly. But when you're performing a lat pull-down, you need to remember a couple cues in order to make sure that you're getting the most effective reps so that you can increase the size and strength of your back. First, you never want to swing your back and use momentum to pull the weight. I don't care what you've been seeing these past bodybuilders doing. I don't care what you've been seeing on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. Those aren't the most effective reps when you're using momentum to pull the weight down. You're not activating your back fully. Yeah, you might be working it a little bit, but you're overall not getting the best usage of your time. Momentum swinging is just leading to ineffective reps, in my opinion, especially if you're someone who's only been lifting for a couple of years. The most movement that should happen during your set is a slight lean upwards in your chest position while you're squeezing your shoulder blades together at the bottom of the rep. Imagine you got someone's finger right in between your shoulder blades and you're just trying to crush it. You need to remember that the more that you contract and squeeze your back, the more you're working it. The more you momentum swing, the less you're working. You wanna make sure that you're getting the most out of the reps when you're doing the lat pull downs, especially if you're someone who's trying to move on to more advanced versions of the pull up like the muscle up. You have to make sure those lats are strong. You gotta make sure you know how to activate and squeeze and contract that back in order to increase the strength. Because if you don't have a strong back, if you don't know how to use your back muscles to your benefit in the most effective way, you're not gonna be able to move on to those difficult versions of the pull-up. Now, before we go on to this last exercise, I want you guys to remember that there are a lot of back exercises. And overall, just hitting back in effective ways, whether it's a lat pull down machine, whether you're using different versions of the row, all of these things are gonna help you work your back. So these are just a couple of exercises that I feel like, especially when you're a beginner in the gym, or if you've only been lifting a couple of years, that they're essential to have in your routine. So last but not least, the dumbbell row. This exercise is not only targeting your lat muscles, but also the inner portions of your back. This exercise cracked my top 5 because it's important that you use isolation exercises so you can focus on each side of your back individually in order to develop and grow any muscle group, whether that's your biceps, whether that's your legs, whether that's your triceps, your chest, your shoulders. You have to use isolation exercises so you can just focus in on one side. When you're using both hands to pull or push, you can always have that slight disadvantage on one side because you can be pulling or pushing more on one side than you are the other. So it's important that you isolate each side of your body, especially when you're doing a muscle group as big as your back, to see changes in your size and strength. So when you're using a dumbbell row, you need to remember to keep a nice tall chest with a tight core. Without this, you're gonna get a really nice curve in your back, which is just gonna put stress in other areas like your lower back, and you're just gonna completely miss the targeted muscle group. Also remember to check that leg position that's on the bench. You should not just have your hamstrings pressed up against your calves. Instead, you should have a good distance between the two, almost like a good 90-degree angle, so your back can stay in more than a stable position when you're pulling the weight up and down. And of course, just like all the other exercises, not even just back day, if you watch any of my other videos, you have to make sure you're using a full range of motion. So that elbow should be leading all the way to the top of the movement. And you should be getting a nice squeeze, following by a good 3-second tempo moving down. If you're just pumping the weight, you're more inclined to move your chest up and down and start momentum swinging. Once you start getting the momentum swinging, you're taking attention off the targeted muscle group, which is not gonna help it grow. It's only gonna delay the process of growth, and you're not gonna get the best uses of your time when you're using these exercises. Now, there are several other exercises that I feel like you can use to help you increase the size and strength of your back. But if you're someone who's just starting to work out and you're just someone who's just beginning and start off in the gym, I feel like it's important that you're able to control and use your body weight from the beginning. So that's why the first 3 exercises are in there. The lat pull down and the dumbbell row, they're really, really simple exercises that anybody can use once you break down the form. And the form isn't too difficult to get down. Using a barbell row or using a deadlift, perfecting and mastering those forms can take a little bit of time in the gym. But if you're someone who's just starting off and you're just jumping in there, the dumbbell row, the lat pull down, those are exercises that you can use just off rip and just make a couple tweaks to your form and you'll be able to maximize each one, your first or second session in the gym. It's not gonna take you a couple weeks or, someone else like a trainer or, watching a ton of YouTube videos to really be able to master that form. These are exercises where, if you're feeling it in your back and you're contracting and you're squeezing and you're fighting gravity, then you're really gonna be able to get the full benefits from it. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for more on how to increase your pull-up numbers or any other body weight exercise for that matter, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section. Don't get out of here without hitting that subscribe and notification button so you can be up to date on any other videos in the future. Thanks for watching. See you next time.